Welcome. Let's just take a moment to arrive here. Settle in. There's this thing, I think a lot of us feel it, even when things look okay on the surface. A kind of persistent hum of unease around money.
Yes, that low hum. It's true. We talk about the practical side, the budgets, the spreadsheets.
Right. The how-to.
But there's this whole other layer, isn't there? The actual feeling of it all, how money feels to us.
Exactly. And that's really what we want to, well, dive into today. Not just the mechanics, but the deeper currents. What's really driving the anxiety or the ambition? What's underneath?
It's about exploring that emotional landscape, really.
Yeah.
Understanding that often the drive for security or, success, it's often tied to these much older, deeper needs, past experiences.
Yeah. So as we talk today, I'd invite you listening just to be present with that. Notice what bubbles up for you, what resonates, maybe what makes you feel a bit uncomfortable.
Absolutely, because those reactions, they hold information. It's
Yeah.
a chance to bring some gentle awareness to your own unique experience with money.
Okay, so let's start with something I think, well, many people might recognize. That feeling. Maybe it's 2 a.m., middle of the night, and your mind just starts racing about finances, the bills, the what-ifs, just trying to make it all work. And that thought, if I just had a bit more.
Just one more raise, one more good client,
Yeah.
then I could finally relax.
Right, then I could breathe.
That constant search for the point of enough, it's such a fundamental human thing, isn't it? I wonder, for you listening, can you remember a time you really truly felt financially okay? Not just the numbers, but in your gut.
That sense of ease, it's elusive.
And doesn't it always seem like that feeling that enough
Yeah.
is just perpetually ahead?
You hit one target, you get there, and almost immediately, boom, there's the next one. You start to wonder, will I ever actually feel that peace?
It's fascinating how money, which starts as, a practical necessity for survival.
Food, shelter.
Exactly. How it gets so deeply tangled up with our core human needs, our sense of worth, feeling safe, secure, even our need for love and connection. It just takes on this incredible weight.
It really does. I was thinking about those times we do hit a financial goal. You get that initial rush, right? Relief, accomplishment.
Oh yeah, it feels good for a moment.
But if we're really honest, how long does that feeling usually stick around?
Often, not very long at all. The relief hits, and then the mind, it just almost automatically starts scanning. What's next? What's the new goal? The potential problem? It's this constant cycle.
Yeah, the striving. And, this makes me think of a concept from Gestalt therapy, this idea of unfinished business. The thought that maybe this relentless chase for more isn't really about the money itself, but it's fueled by these older, unmet needs, unresolved feelings from our past, like the anxiety we feel now might just be an echo.
Precisely. Those old feelings, the ones we haven't fully processed or even acknowledged, they can exert this pull. We might unconsciously believe that if we just reach that financial level, it will somehow fix those old hurts, bring the peace we're searching for.
We talked about an example. Let's call her Sarah, someone who worked incredibly hard, really drove herself in her career.
Right. Because growing up, her family faced real financial struggles. She was absolutely determined never to feel that vulnerable again.
And what's so telling about her story, even when she became quite successful financially, that underlying anxiety, that fear about safety, it didn't really disappear. It just sort of shifted.
Exactly. It wasn't really about the bank balance anymore. Money had become the symbol of safety for her.
But getting more of the symbol didn't actually deliver the feeling itself.
Right. It couldn't. It points to that deeper need. And maybe for you listening, does Sarah's story resonate at all? The details might be different, of course, but have you ever hit a goal and still felt a bit empty, like it wasn't quite the answer you thought it would be?
And think about how intense our emotional reactions can be around money. That sudden wave of guilt after buying something impulsively.
Or the shame, maybe, if you feel you're not earning what you should be.
Yeah, or the pride when something goes well, or that jolt of fear when the market drops.
These feelings aren't random, they're clues. And this ties into another Gestalt idea, phenomenology, which sounds complex, but it's really just about paying close attention to your direct experience, right here, right now.
So what you're feeling, thinking, even sensing in your body as we talk about money, that's the data.
Exactly. These reactions are often echoes of those older patterns, stories we've absorbed about money, about our own value. So right now, listening, what are you noticing inside?
Any resistance coming up? Curiosity, maybe a little discomfort.
Whatever it is, it's valuable. It shows where your energy is alive,
Yeah.
where something might need a closer look.
It's like stepping off that treadmill we mentioned. Just for a moment, not to judge how fast you were going.
No judgment.
But just to get clear, what was really driving the run? Were you running towards something you genuinely wanted? Or were you maybe running away from something? Fear, inadequacy.
And often those two get completely mixed up, don't they?
Uh-huh.
We tell ourselves it's about success, abundance.
Positive goal.
Right. But underneath, there might be this powerful current of trying to escape feeling not good enough or fearing failure, or maybe avoiding the sting of past rejection. Money becomes both the carrot and the stick.
And I really want to stress again, this isn't about blame. It's not saying anyone's doing it wrong.
Not at all. It's an invitation. Explore this with kindness, genuine curiosity.
Ask yourself, with real openness, what am I really seeking here? What deep need is driving this?
And can I meet that need with some compassion? Maybe in a different way than just chasing the next financial target.
Because when we start looking at it like that, something changes. It stops being just about the numbers.
It becomes like a mirror, reflecting our inner world.
Every thought about money, every feeling, every choice.
They're all little windows, opportunities to understand ourselves more deeply, to see what's under the surface of the striving and the worry.
So let's just take another breath here. Feel whatever's present. The hopes, the longings, maybe some fear connected to money. Just acknowledge it. It's part of your story.
Yeah, and just allowing yourself to be with that relationship, not as a problem to solve right away, but as a path to self-understanding. That's where the real insight starts.
Okay, let's stay with that idea of pausing, stepping off the treadmill, and now really turning inward, like you said, using money as that mirror. What's it like to actually meet what's looking back?
It can be. Well, confronting sometimes. To really stop and see our own patterns, our anxieties, without immediately trying to fix them or push them away.
Yeah, the impulse is strong to fix it.
It is. But just witnessing. In Gestalt, we talk about awareness, fully engaging with what is happening right now.
So let's try that experiment. Imagine your relationship with money. Like it's a person sitting right there with you.
What will they say? What's their energy like? Are they burdened, anxious, maybe hopeful?
And as you hold that image, just notice your body. Any shifts, sensations, tightness anywhere, warmth.
Those physical responses, they're such powerful clues. They tell us where our energy is flowing freely around money, or maybe where it's getting stuck.
It's so true, because money itself, it's neutral, right? Just paper, numbers.
Fundamentally, yes, a tool, a symbol.
But we layer so much onto it, all these projections, safety, love, power, even shame. We assign these meanings, often totally unconsciously.
And those projections drive our behavior in huge ways. Think of someone who grew up with real scarcity.
Right.
They might project that fear of not enough onto everything, leading them to hoard or be extremely frugal, even when they technically have plenty.
Or the opposite, maybe someone uses spending to numb emotional pain. They project comfort or escape onto the act of buying.
Exactly. And again, neither is wrong. They're just patterns pointing to deeper dynamics, unmet needs, unresolved feelings.
Let's go back to that idea. Think of a recent, maybe significant financial decision. Buying something big, making an investment, maybe even just avoiding opening a bill.
Bring that moment to mind.
You really tune into your body again. What sensations were there? Or are there now, just thinking about it?
And whatever comes up. That's it. That's the direct experience, the phenomenology. Paying attention to that felt sense is how we start mapping the emotional territory of our financial lives.
And it's so easy to dodge those feelings when they're uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely. We distract ourselves constantly, scrolling phones, burying ourselves in work.
Anything but sit with the discomfort money can stir up.
And that avoidance, while it feels better short term, often keeps us stuck in the long run. Because usually, the anxiety isn't just about the current bank balance.
Right, like we said, it often connects back to older stuff.
Exactly. Childhood experiences, messages from parents, cultural narratives about wealth or poverty, past failures. All that unfinished business keeps playing out.
Okay, let's take another breath here. When you think about money, what stories tend to run on repeat in your head? Is it never enough?
Or, I always have to struggle. It's so hard.
Or maybe constant comparison, look what they have.
Just notice which stories feel familiar. Weird ones carry that emotional charge. They're not just thoughts, they're often echoes from the past showing up right now. And this relates to something called retroflexion.
Okay.
It's basically energy that wants to go outwards, maybe as a need, a boundary, an action, but gets turned back inwards onto ourselves. or sometimes projected onto others.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you feel angry about an unfair bank fee. The energy wants to go out, complain, assert yourself, but instead you turn it inward and beat yourself up. I should have managed my money better. That's retroflexion. The anger gets misdirected.
Ah, okay. Like that harsh inner critic that jumps on you for not earning enough.
Precisely. Or that sharp pang of envy, seeing someone else's success. That energy might be about your own desires or frustrations, but it gets pointed outwards as envy.
Got it. And then there are the ways we just avoid dealing with money stuff altogether.
Yeah, the avoidance behaviors.
Yeah.
Procrastinating on budgeting, ignoring bank statements, or maybe obsessively tracking every single penny to feel in control, but avoiding the bigger picture.
It's like these behaviors shield us from the feelings?
They do. They create a buffer.
Yeah.
But the cost is often disconnection. Disconnection from conscious choice and from understanding what's really driving those choices.
Think about a time you felt really triggered by money. Something happened and bam! What was your go-to reaction? Shut down.
Get defensive, lash out, try to rationalize it all away.
Those reactions, they're usually old survival strategies, defense mechanisms, trying to protect us from feeling vulnerable.
But they also block real engagement. They keep us from actually being with what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another layer, interjection.
Interjection.
Yeah, it's basically swallowing whole beliefs or messages about money from our family, our culture, without really chewing on them, without questioning if they're actually true for us.
Like those sayings, money doesn't grow on trees.
Or you have to work yourself to the bone. Or even seemingly positive advice like always save for a rainy day.
How could that positive one become limiting?
Well, if someone interjects always save so rigidly that they deny themselves any present joy or necessary spending, even when they can afford it, because of this unquestioned rule, it's become restrictive. It wasn't consciously chosen.
Right, we're carrying around these unexamined rules.
Exactly. So the invitation here is just to step back. Observe these patterns, these reactions, these swallowed beliefs with curiosity, like you're watching a film of your own life.
What are the repeated scripts? Am I acting out of fear or out of genuine desire?
Just that noticing, that awareness without the immediate judgment, that itself creates space. It creates the possibility of choosing differently next time.
Remember Sarah, as she became aware of that deep need for safety driving everything, and how she'd swallowed that belief that financial success equals worth, she could start shifting.
She could start focusing on cultivating that inner safety directly, rather than just hoping the next promotion would magically provide it.
It wasn't about the number, it was the inner shift.
Exactly. So looking at your own relationship with money, where do you see echoes of your history? A fear of scarcity, a feeling of not being worthy, maybe a longing for connection playing out in how you spend or save.
And the key really is holding these patterns gently, with compassion. They probably served a purpose once.
They hold wisdom, even if they're causing pain now. They show us where energy is stuck, where healing might be needed. It's about understanding ourselves more deeply, connecting with our real needs beyond the bank balance. Money just becomes the doorway.
Okay. Let's pause again here. Maybe take a slightly longer breath this time. Inhale and really let it go. Notice what you feel right now. Maybe some relief, clarity, or just a quiet stirring inside.
You stayed with some potentially challenging ideas. Imagine, like we said, you're standing on that ridge now. You've got a new view. The path isn't perfectly mapped, but you're seeing with different eyes.
And this leads to that reframe we talked about, shifting the question. Instead of constantly asking, how much money do I need? Or getting stuck in the shoulds.
What if the question becomes, what is my relationship with money revealing about me?
That subtle shift, it changes everything, doesn't it?
It really can. Money stops being this thing you have to conquer or manage perfectly and becomes more like a teacher, offering feedback through your choices, your emotions, your body sensations, data about your values, your fears, your unfinished business.
And those projections we talked about, putting all that power onto money, hoping it will give us safety, love, worth.
What happens when we start to see those as projections? When we start to reclaim that power, realizing those needs are actually internal quests.
It's like taking our power back, isn't it? When we start expecting money to fill those holes, its grip loosens.
It becomes less charged, less overwhelming, more like a tool again, rather than the source of salvation or doom. That's the insight. Reclaiming projections reduces money's emotional power over us.
That paradox you mentioned earlier, as we untangle the emotional knots, money's hold actually lessens. It becomes lighter.
Yeah, a tool for living more authentically. Think about Sarah again. As she untangled those beliefs, money equals worth, money equals safety. She could focus on building a life that genuinely nourished her, based on her values.
And the peace she found wasn't necessarily about having more money, but about having less fear, more inner security.
Exactly. So for you listening, where might you start identifying your own projections, those "I'll only be okay when," or "I need X amount to feel safe" beliefs?
And just seeing them, identifying them, that's the start of integration.
Yes, bringing those disowned parts, the fears, the needs, back into conscious awareness, acknowledging them, understanding their roots. Every time you do that, you reclaim a little piece of yourself.
And that integration process, as you said, it isn't always comfortable. It can stir things up. Sadness, maybe anger, feeling vulnerable.
But those feelings are messengers. They carry important news. Can we welcome them, even briefly? Ask them gently what they need us to know.
It comes back to approaching money with curiosity instead of judgment, seeing it as that mirror, offering valuable feedback on our inner state.
Asking those deeper questions. Is how I use my money aligned with what I truly value? Is my sense of safety rooted in things or in my inner self? Am I using money to connect or to disconnect?
And knowing there aren't easy one-size-fits-all answers here, this is a journey. Transformation takes time.
It's about trusting the process, one step, one insight at a time, allowing yourself to evolve.
We've covered a lot today, and honestly, this topic is vast. We could go into money and identity, cultural stories, spirituality, abundance, scarcity, so many layers.
So much more.
Yeah.
But this moment, this exploration right now, has its own value.
So let's just acknowledge that. Feel the weight, maybe, of what's been uncovered, and perhaps the lightness of anything that's been released.
Trust that this inward turning, this exploration, it's never wasted time. It's planting seeds.
And please, truly remember, if this feels hard, if it brings up difficult stuff, you are absolutely not alone in that. Our relationship with money is complex for almost everyone.
It's a deeply human struggle. And having the courage just to look closely is a really significant step.
So let's take one final breath together here. Just breathing in and out. Carry this awareness with you gently. Let it be a quiet companion as you move through your days.
Prompting you perhaps with curiosity, with compassion,
Yeah.
with courage. Because ultimately this journey, it isn't just about the money. It's about you, your essence, your becoming.
That was quite a deep dive. Really powerful. I hope you listening take some time to just let it settle, see what resonated most.
And maybe the coming days, just keep noticing thoughts, feelings, body sensations related to money without needing to fix anything right away.
Yeah, remember, it's an ongoing process, right? Not a quick fix. Just getting to know yourself a bit better.
We really hope this offered some fresh perspectives, maybe a deeper understanding of your own unique relationship with money.
Until next time, take good care. And be gentle with yourselves on this path.